जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सतहिष्ट डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री श्री गांधर्विका गिरिधारी श्री गौर हरि की जय। श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह देव श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। श्री बालाजी की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ रथ यात्रा महोत्सव की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरून् दीनतारिणं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। आराध्यो भगवान् व्रजेशतनयस् तद्धाम वृन्दावनं। रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधू वर्गेणया कल्पिता। श्रीमद्भागवतं प्रमाणममलं Prema Pumartho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhormatamidam Tatra Dara Na Paraha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Jai Jagannath. So tomorrow is the grand Rath Yatra festival in Sri Jagannath Puri Dham. And as per the Tithi, as we discussed yesterday, today is the Netrotsava, Netra or Nava Yauvana Darshana of Jagannath. But I was told that for some reason it is going to be tomorrow, on the same day as Rath Yatra, although the Tithi seems to be for today, for the Nava Netrotsava seems to be for today, but somehow maybe there is a difference in calendars, I'm not sure. So anyway, we spoke about the background of the Rath Yatra festival, starting from the preparations leading up to the Snan Yatra, then the Anavasara period, and then after that the Netrotsava. And during the Anavasara period there are festivals like the Hera Panchami and so on. And then finally the Lord gives darshan on the 16th day after the Snan Yatra. The devotees are very eager to have darshan because it has been such a long time that they have not had darshan of the Lord. To pacify their feelings of separation from Lord Jagannath, many devotees go to Alarnath, where they take darshan of Alvarnath. And we discussed the significance of the Alvarnath deity briefly yesterday also. For those of you who were present, you will remember the significance is connected to the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis in Vrindavan. So the Netrotsava is the time when the eyes have been already painted on the lotus face of the Lord, and the decoration is done, mantras are chanted, auspicious rituals are performed, and then it is said that the eyes of Jagannath now open. And because everyone can see or have darshan of the eyes, the beautiful eyes of Lord Jagannath. And also because it is a feast for the eyes of all the devotees who will see the beautiful eyes of Jagannath. This festival is called the Netrotsava festival, or Netrotsava, the festival of the eyes. And we also mentioned yesterday at the end that after the Netrotsava, then of course the Rath Yatra happens. The day after that, the Lord steps out of the Jagannath temple, is seated on a chariot, and there is a grand procession and that escorts him and Lord Baladev, Subhadra Devi and Sudarshan to Gundicha temple, which is about 2 kilometers away. And of course, the Anavasara period is not the time when the Hera Panchami happens. The Hera Panchami happens after the Rath Yatra. And after the Rath Yatra is over, on the 5th day, the Rath Yatra happens on the Dvitiya, the Ashad. I sometimes say in the temples that I tell the temple authorities, you sit with a receipt book. And we will say anyone whose phone rings there should pay a donation of 500 rupees for the temple. Then everyone's phone is switched off. Then they are sure. So after the Rath Yatra, which happens on the Dvitiya of the month of Ashad, Shukla Paksha, then in the Panchami, that is 3 days later, there is the Hera Panchami festival. And then on the 8th or the 9th day after that, on the Navami or the Dashami, then Lord Jagannath returns to the Jagannath temple from Gundicha. And there is preparation for the Ekadashi to follow, which is the Deva Shayani Ekadashi. And then Chaturdashi also, there is a festival. And when Amavasya comes again, then everything is settled. So the whole Rath Yatra festival is this entire period. So at the conclusion yesterday, if you remember, I mentioned that we will discuss today how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu celebrated the Netrotsava in Jagannath Puri. So we'll recite the verses that Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has mentioned here. These are in simple Bengali language. Most of you will understand because it is almost like Hindi. But for those of you who don't, I will explain the verses also. It's not very difficult to understand. And it is nice if devotees can also read the Chaitanya Charitamrita along with reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. But first, of course, we must read Bhagavad Gita and the basic books of Srila Prabhupada. And after we have nicely read them, then we begin Srimad Bhagavatam. And as we near the completion of the Bhagavatam, we should try to finish it and we can start Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sometimes devotees may also do it in parallel. In any case, because we are followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are known as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, that is his Sampradaya. So it is important for us to have the perspective of bhakti from the point of view of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the Chaitanya Charitamrita gives us detailed descriptions of not just the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but also a very deep philosophical understanding as presented by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Kaviraj Goswami says, this is from the Madhya Leela of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 12, which is titled The Cleansing of the Gundicha Temple. As I mentioned yesterday, the Gundicha Temple cleaning is done by the devotees in preparation for the arrival of their lordships from Jagannath Temple to Gundicha Temple. And then on the same day, and sometimes it is done the previous day, the Netrotsava happens in the Jagannath temple. Aradine Jagannathera Netrotsava Nama Mahotsava Hoila Bhaktir Prana Samana. Aradine, that means the next day after the Gundicha temple has been cleansed, Jagannathera Netrotsava Nama. So there is a festival called the Netrotsava, celebrated in connection with Lord Jagannath in the temple. Mahotsava Hoila Bhaktir Prana Samana. So this Mahotsava, not just an Utsava, but it is a Mahotsava, Maha Utsava, great festival. So this festival, according to Kaviraj Goswami, was like the pran or the very life airs of the devotees. In other words, this Netrotsava ceremony is very dear to the devotees of Lord Jagannath. Why is it dear to them? Because they're taking darshan after so many days. It is the 16th day and their eyes have been starved, having not been able to see the beautiful form of Lord Jagannath. Now, something very important. When we or any ordinary person looks at Lord Jagannath, we see something quite astonishing. It's not like what we expect Lord Krishna to be. Yes? He's got big round eyes, his hands are withdrawn into the body, there don't seem to be any legs, just a round torso. So how do we see the beauty in that? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers are teaching us through the Chaitanya Charitamrita to understand the beauty of that form of Lord Krishna as Jagannath. And we'll see that even the eyes of Lord Jagannath, they become exceedingly beautiful as far as the devotees led by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu see them. Now, those eyes that have not been trained to see the beauty of the Lord will see this as just some painting. But the devotees have very special way to understand those eyes. And Kaviraj Goswami will be describing that. So now, because this festival is the prana samana, it is almost like the very life airs of the bodies of the devotees. They gather there with great expectation, with great eagerness to see their worshipable Lord Jagannath. Pakshadina dukhi loka prabhura adarshane darshana koriya loka sukha paila mane. Okay. Pakshadina. Paksha means, as we saw yesterday, what is a paksha? 1 fortnight. 2 pakshas make 1 month. So Pakshadina dukhi loka prabhura adarshane. Adarshan means opposite of darshan. When you put the word a before the word, any other word, it means the opposite of that word. So adarshana. So the devotees had been very grief-stricken for 1 fortnight because they had not been able to see Jagannath. Darshana Korya Loka Sukha Pailamana. So now in Netrotsava, they were able to have darshan of Lord Jagannath. So they experienced great sukha. Sukha means happiness. And actually, this is the real happiness of life. We experience varieties of so-called happiness in life, but this is real happiness. So the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with the Lord himself, they went there and experienced great happiness. And for those who are untrained in the art and science of devotional service, they just cannot understand what it is that the devotees find so beautiful. They'll come and say, here is a statue, and some clothes you have put on them, some jewelry you have put on them, some lights you're shining on them, and you find it a source of great happiness. So they just cannot understand. So those unacquainted with the ways of devotional service cannot understand the happiness of the devotees. And the devotees just cannot understand the happiness of the non-devotees. What is it you get in that bottle that you keep drinking, and then you speak rubbish after you have drunk that bottle, and you behave in such a nonsensical way after that? What is this kind of happiness? And then you lie in the gutter, and that is your happiness. But for those people who have developed the taste for that kind of happiness, oh, they relish it a lot. So devotees cannot understand the happiness of the non-devotees. The non-devotees cannot understand the happiness of the devotees. Who can say a verse from the Bhagavad Gita in this regard? Yeah, Nisha, I'm giving you a hint. Yes, can you say loudly?
Ya Nisha Sarvabhutanam Tasyam Jagrati Sarva.
Ya Nisha Sarvabhutanam Tasyam Jagarti Samyami. Then?
Yasyam Jagrati
Yasyam Jagarti Bhutani
Sa Nisha Pasyate.
Sanisha Pashyate Munehe. What does it mean? It means that what is night for the saintly is day for the ordinary people, materialistic people. And what is night for the materialistic people is day for the munis or for the devotees of the Lord, the saintly people. Why so? What do you mean by day and night? Not just a literal understanding, but at night we are supposed to be inactive. We are supposed to be sleeping. Supposed to be. Other nowadays with nightlife, people return home at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock at night. But that is not the way of the saintly people who want to serve Krishna. So, the activities, the purport of this verse is from the Gita, that the activities which the non-devotees relish are not at all appreciated by the devotees. And the activities which are relished by the devotees are not at all relished by the non-devotees. And a very prime example of that is festivals like this, where the devotees' concept of happiness and distress is whether they are able to see the Lord or not in the temple. So now in Netrotsava, they have experienced great happiness. Mahaprabhu Sukhelana Sava Bhakta Gana Jagannath Darashane Korila Gamana. So on this occasion, Mahaprabhu Sukhe, in great happiness, Mahaprabhu Lana Sava Bhakta Gana, he took all his devotees with him. Jagannath Darashane Korila Gamana. So they proceeded towards Jagannath temple to have the darshan of the Lord in the Netrotsava ceremony. And in front of him walked Kashishwar, his associate, and behind him Govinda, his personal assistant, his servant, walked with a water pot. Because in those days, traditionally sannyasis would carry a water pot. And the water pot would be used for various things. It could be used for drinking, you could fill it up and wash your hands, you could purify your hands, you could do many things with that kamandalu or that water pot. Nowadays, of course, we carry, what is that?
Glass.
This is the modern day kamandalu of that. We have to carry like this. Times have changed, but anyway, that is how we are. We can't carry the kamandalu nowadays. So Govinda walked behind carrying that. And in front of him, as Mahaprabhu walked towards the temple, two of his sannyasi associates, Paramananda Puri and Brahmananda Bharati, they walked in front. And on either side walked Swarup Damodar and Advaita Acharya. पाछे पाछे चोली जाए आर भक्त गण उत्कंठा ते गेला सब जगन्नाथ भवन. Pache pache choli. That means pache pache means behind. Choli means walked. So the Bhakta Gana, so all the associates of Mahaprabhu, they walked behind Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as he eagerly walked towards Jagannath temple to take darshan of Jagannath in the Netrotsava. And how did they go? Were they going thinking, oh, I have to go now. Mahaprabhu is going, he wants us to come. So anyway, I have to show my face. If I don't go, then I will get a scolding. Or people will say, why didn't you go? Prabhu, why didn't you come? No. In what mood did they go? Utkanthate gyala sava Jagannatha bhavana. Bhavana means the home. So the temple is the home of the Lord. So they all went there with utkantha. Utkantha means eagerness. With great longing. So, Utkanthate Gyalasava Jagannatha Bhavana. So, in the Nectar of Devotion of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we find that for Bhava Bhakti, there is Sadhana Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. So, one of the symptoms of Bhava Bhakti, the 9 symptoms, is Samutkantha. Samyak Utkantha, complete eagerness. Total eagerness. So when one reaches that stage of Bhava Bhakti, which is a very advanced stage, very, very advanced stage, not the stage of perfection, but still very, very advanced. The devotee in that stage has many symptoms by which you can understand at this stage, this devotee has reached that stage of Bhava. And Samutkantha means he has complete total eagerness, longing, a very intense longing. And Rupa Goswami has described this. Nijabhishta labhaya guru lubdhata. So the meaning is Nija abhishta labhaya. Abhishta means our desired objective. Nija means ours. Labhaya means for the sake of attaining. So for the sake of attaining one's desired objective, when there is Guru Lubdhata, Lubdhata indicates intense longing. Guru means very strong, very heavy. The word Guru means heavy or strong. So when there is very intense longing for the attainment of one's desired objective, that state of mind is called Samutkantha. So for the devotees of the Lord, what is the desired objective? To obtain the Supreme Lord, to have darshan of the Supreme Lord, to develop love for the Supreme Lord, to serve Him eagerly. So these are the desired objectives. And when there is intense longing, then that is called Samutkantha. And the devotee is willing to do anything for that. Now the same thing has its material equivalent. When some famous personality comes somewhere, everybody develops that Samutkantha to go and be next to that person. Great eagerness. On some occasions when I was in the airport, I would see some people rushing to another person, either male or female, to get some autograph and take some selfies with them and so on. And because I don't watch movies, so I don't know who is who, but I presume that they were film stars. And the way they carried themselves and the way they dressed and so on, I could understand they were somewhere in the glamorous profession. So people had intense longing to somehow go and just see, because they're very much attracted to that kind of life. This glitter and glamour, the world of movies and so on and so forth, is very attractive for them. So they have this Samutkantha for this kind of life, but that is the perverted Samutkantha, the distorted longing. Durashaya ye bahirarthamanina, according to Prahlad. So when it is rightly focused on the Lord, that Samutkantha or Utkantha is perfect. Then Kaviraj goes, now because all of you are so eager to see the Lord and to hear about the Lord, that Samutkantha has now brought the rains pouring down. That rain for which everyone has been waiting for so many days is finally over, and the rains are coming down torrentially in response to your devotion. Then Kaviraj Goswami says, Darshana lobhete kori maryada langhana bhoga mandape jana kore Shri Mukha darshana. Darshana lobhete, lobha. What is the meaning of lobha? Greed. Can you all hear me with the sound of the rain? You are able to hear at the back? Can you hear? What about you there? You are able to hear at the back? Yes? Okay. I think it's okay. They can hear. Okay. So, because they were greedy for the darshan of the Lord, therefore they did maryada langhana. They transgressed the etiquette of the regulative principles. Now you see, all greed is not bad. When you have greed for Krishna, that greed is perfect. So instead of just saying, don't be greedy, you say, okay, you just translate your greed from money and this and that towards Krishna. So become greedy for Krishna. Want to have more and more of Krishna. And these devotees were so eager for taking darshan of the Lord that they transgressed some etiquette. What was the etiquette? Bhoga mandape jana kore Shri Mukha darshana. Now there is a certain section for those of you who have been to Jagannath temple in Puri. In front of the deities of the Lord, there is a certain place where the bhoga is offered. And one is not supposed to go to that bhoga mandap, that pandal that is there, that platform. That is the normal etiquette, and everybody follows that etiquette. And Mahaprabhu in particular would be very careful to follow that etiquette. He would never go there. But on this one occasion, all the devotees, they transgressed that etiquette. They were so eager to take darshan of Lord Jagannath, Shri Mukha darshana, to have the darshan of his lotus face, that they all rushed into that area. Now again, we should not imitate. Such rushing can sometimes cause stampede. There is now in the news some item that somewhere in the country, maybe more than 100 people died in a stampede for some reason. So even in our temples, we have to be very careful that yes, we may be very eager, but we still must follow certain etiquette. When we come to get prasadam, everybody must be in line. So everything, the maryada must be followed. So we cannot always imitate the advanced devotees of the Lord. So we have to keep that in mind. For example, if we are very eager to see the Lord, we should not jump onto the altar. Oh, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also it said they did maryada langhana. They were so eager to see the Lord that they transgressed the etiquette. So therefore I can also transgress the etiquette and I will also go. So actually it is said, and Srila Prabhupada explains this, that one should not get too close to the Lord, to the deities, and to the spiritual master also. Because then familiarity breeds contempt. One should maintain a certain respectful distance in order to maintain that respect, that veneration, which is very important. When one comes too close, then one sees with material vision. And one says, oh, this is ordinary. What is there in the Lord? Just see this is there, it's like this, it's like that. We start finding fault. So the Maryada must always be followed. The etiquette must be followed. In the name of being eager, we cannot try to imitate these great devotees. In any case, they went there. They went to the place and they had darshan of the Lord. Now specifically, what about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What was his condition? Kaviraj Goswami explains, Trishartha Prabhura Netra Brahmara Yugala Gadha Trishnae Piye Krishnera Vadana Kamala. I am not pronouncing this in the Bengali style because then you may not understand. So I am pronouncing it without the Bengali accent so that it will be easier to understand. Trishartha, Trisha Artha. Trisha or Trishna means thirst. Artha means afflicted. So when a person is very thirsty, we say Trishartha, he is suffering because of intense thirst. So that was the condition of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was extremely thirsty for what? For the darshan of the Lord. Netra Brahmara Yugala. Netra means the eyes. Brahmara means bees. Yugala means two. So two eyes. So Mahaprabhu, having great thirst for seeing the form of Lord Jagannath, his eyes became like two bumblebees. Brahmara. And there is also a song in the Bhagavatam called the Brahmara Geet. So, his eyes became like honeybees. And these honeybees, what do the bees look for? They look for the nectar in the flowers, for honey. Therefore, they are called honeybees. They make the honey from the nectar. So, the devotees' eyes are also like honeybees because they always want to see the honey-like face of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Gadha Trishnaya, in that state of intense thirst, Piye, he drank, Mahaprabhu drank, Krishnera Vadana Kamala. He drank the honey from the lotus-like face of Sri Chaitanya, of Lord Jagannath. Here Kaviraj Goswami uses the word Krishnera, not Jagannathera, to indicate that Jagannath and Krishna are the same. So Mahaprabhu's eyes were like two bumblebees, and the lotus face and specifically the lotus eyes of Lord Jagannath, they were like the honey. They were dripping with honey. So the bees always go to where there is honey. So that was the situation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Kaviraj Goswami says, now he is going to describe the eyes of Lord Jagannath. Now picture in your mind, you have seen the deity of Lord Jagannath so often. Now imagine the deity's face as described by Kaviraj Goswami. Prapulla Kamala Jini Nayana Yugala Nilamani Darpana Kanti Ganda Jhalamala. Prapulla Kamala Jini. Jini means like. Kamala means the lotus. Prapulla means blossoming. So Nayana Yugala. Nayana Yugala now refers to the two eyes of Lord Jagannath. So it looked like they were like blossoming lotuses. Yes? Some phones are again ringing. Yes. So the eyes of Lord Jagannath looked like two blossoming lotuses. Neelamani Darpana Kanti Ganda Jhalamala. Ganda refers to the neck. And Neelamani is a particular kind of blue jewel. In English you may call it a sapphire. So this sapphire, the neck of Lord Jagannath, it was shining, jhalamala, the kanti of the luster of the neck of Lord Jagannath, it was like a mirror made of Neelamani, of sapphire. So Lord Jagannath's neck was as lustrous as a mirror made of sapphires. And it is in this purport that Srila Prabhupada says that this indicates that one should not come very near a superior. Both the Lord's deity form and the spiritual master should be seen from a distant place. This is called Maryada. Otherwise, as it is said, familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes coming too near the deity or the spiritual master degrades the neophyte devotee. Personal servants of the deity and the spiritual master should therefore always be very careful, for negligence may overcome them in their duty. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eyes have been compared to thirsty bumblebees, and Sri Jagannath's eyes have been compared to blossoming lotus flowers. So this is the comparison. And the shining, lustrous neck of Lord Jagannath was also seen. So generally the comparison of various features of the Lord's form with the lotus, we are all very familiar with that, right? We say lotus face, lotus hands, lotus eyes, lotus feet, which is the famous verse of Kunti Maharani in the Bhagavatam, where she describes his various lotuses. Namah Pankajanaabhaya, Namah Pankajamaline, Namo Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajanghraye. Yes, you are all great devotees of Kunti Maharani and Krishna. Very nice. So, there are so many lotuses. The eyes are like lotus. He wears lotus garlands around his neck. His navel is like a lotus. His feet are like lotus. Like that. So, here Jagannath's eyes have been compared to blooming lotus flowers. How many of you have heard of a devotee of Lord Jagannath called Dasya Bauri? Okay, some of you have heard. At least the Odiyas have definitely heard. So, he was a very poor man. He was a weaver by profession. And he was from a quote-unquote lower caste. So, according to the tradition at that time, he did not go into the temple of Lord Jagannath. But he had a very spontaneous attraction. One time when he went for the Rath Yatra and he saw the Jagannath deity for the first time, he was struck with wonder. And he was forever changed after that. He became extremely attracted to Lord Jagannath. And he would keep sending some of the other gifts for Lord Jagannath, some coconut or some mangoes, something like that, he would send for Lord Jagannath. So soon after he came back from that Rath Yatra, he came home and one day he was sitting for his meals, and his wife came before him, and she brought his prasadam, which was in a mud kind of a pot. And the mud is reddish in color. So it has a reddish border. And then she put some rice in that pot, which is white in color. And in the middle of that rice, she put some spinach, palak type of a sabji or a vegetable. And she brought it in front of him and kept it. Now, Dasya Bauri had been meditating on the eyes of Lord Jagannath and been thinking of the beautiful form of Lord Jagannath. And Lord Jagannath's eyes are also of that color, red border, white in the middle, and black retina in the middle, right? So this was dark green, so something like black. So immediately in great horror, he suddenly recoiled. How can I eat the eyes of Lord Jagannath? And he started talking as if something had happened, he was possessed. The wife became very frightened. So what has happened to my husband? And she called some of the neighbors. You better just deal with him. Something has happened. So they all came. And then finally they understood what had happened. And they realized that this was a great devotee of Lord Jagannath. So because he understood the eyes, the red border, the white, and then the black in the center. So this is how beautiful the eyes of the Lord are. Ordinary vision, we may commit some offense by thinking, what is there so beautiful? Because we have not developed that purity of heart, that devotion to be able to see those two eyes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is seeing them at the Netrotsava ceremony in Jagannath Puri. Bandhulira Pulajini Adhara Suranga Ishat Hasita Kanti Amrita Taranga. So the chin of the Lord was also beautiful. It is compared to a bandhuli flower, which is somewhat reddish in color. So Srila Prabhupada says the chin of the Lord, tinged with buff color, conquered the beauty of the bandhuli flower. This increased the beauty of his mild smiling. Ishat Hasita. Ishat Hasya or Ishat Hasita, like Smita Hasya, mild smiling. So Krishna has this Smita Hasya when he's playing the flute or he's standing there. There are various kinds of laughing according to Nectar of Devotion. It's also interesting study. So one of them is the Smita Hasya, the mild smiling, for which Krishna is very famous. So Jagannath also has this. So the beauty of his mild smiling was like lustrous wave after wave of nectar. This is how the devotees were seeing it, especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the bandhuli flower is a certain type of flower that opens at noon and closes at dawn. So Shri Mukha Sundara Kanti Badhe Kshane Kshane Koti Bhakta Netra Pringa Kore Madhupane. So Shri Mukha Sundara Kanti Badhe Kshane Kshane. So at every kshana, Badhe increased. What increased? Shri Mukha Sundara Kanti. Kanti means the luster. So the luster of Sri Jagannath's face just increased every moment. And Koti Bhakta Netra Bringa Kore Madhupane. And all the devotees, the hundreds and hundreds and thousands of devotees who had gathered there, their eyes were like Bringa, Netra Bringa. And through these bumblebee-like eyes, they were drinking in the honey-like face of Lord Jagannath. So this is the approach of the devotees when they came to the Netrotsava festival in Jagannath Puri. Jatapiye tato trishna badhe nirantara mukhambuja chhadi nitra na jaye antara. Jatapiye tato trishna badhe nirantara. Now the peculiar feature of this is that the more the devotees were gazing at the lotus feet of Jagannath and drinking the honey of his lotus face, the more their thirst increased. Now normally when you are thirsty and you drink something, then your thirst gets quenched. But here this was not happening. They were not getting satiated. The more they drank the nectar from the lotus face of Lord Jagannath, the more their thirst increased. Mukhambuja chhadi netra najay antara. Mukha ambuja. Ambuja means a lotus. Mukha ambuja chhadi najay antara. Najay antara means that leaving the lotus face of the Lord, their eyes would not go to any other place. In other words, their eyes were fixed on the Lord. One of the interesting aspects of devotion is to see how much we are attracted to the deity of the Lord. It's not easy to stand in front of the deity and gaze for a long time because we start getting distracted. Then we start looking here and there so it's not easy, that focus where we can gaze with great devotion on the deity of the Lord. Many times when people come, they come to the temple, but they only very casually gaze at look at the deity and go away. For example, in Vrindavan, we have our Krishna Balaram Mandir. And during the Bhagavatam class, at a certain time, the darshan opens. And there is a doorway that allows people to come in. And the people come. And they waited for a long time in the line to take darshan. But many of them, they're busy looking at who is in the temple hall. They don't look on this side at the deities. They just casually look. Sometimes they skip the deities. And they're just preoccupied with what is happening at the temple hall. But at least they've come to the temple. But having come to the temple, they don't see the deity. So in any case, we can see here what attraction to the deity really means. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates are teaching us how to gaze with devotion at the deity. Ehi mata Mahaprabhu lona bhakta gana madhyana paryanta koila Srimukha darashana. So Mahaprabhu started, they went for the Netrotsava in the early morning, and they continued gazing at the lotus-like face of Lord Jagannath till madhyana, which means till midday. Imagine, for hours together, they were fixed, their gaze was transfixed on Krishna, only on Jagannath, and their eyes did not go anywhere else. One time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with Advaita Acharya, they had gone to Jagannath temple. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asking Advaita Acharya, "Oh, you have gone on the pradakshina of the temple. I have won, I am victorious." So Advaita Acharya could not understand what he meant. So he said, "My Lord, I know you are always victorious. There is no doubt about that. But what exactly are you referring to? I don't understand when you say that you have defeated me and that you are victorious." He said, "Look, you went for this pradakshina, went round and round the deity, so you could not see the Lord for those moments. But I was standing in front of the Lord, and I not for a second did my gaze shift away from the lotus face of the Lord. So you didn't see the deity, I saw the deity. So I am victorious over you." So Advaita Acharya said, yes, you are right. Of course, that doesn't mean that we should not do the pradakshina of the deity. These are regulative principles which we are expected to follow as sadhana bhaktas, as practicing devotees. So when we come for darshan, we should take darshan to our heart's content or according to what time we have available with us. And then we should do the pradakshina. Actually, we should do the pradakshina 4 times, but sometimes time is such we do it at least 1 time. We should do it. So anyway, Mahaprabhu stayed there, and Kaviraj Goswami says that Mahaprabhu's body, transcendental body, exhibited all kinds of transcendental symptoms of ecstasy. He perspired, he trembled, and tears flowed from his eyes. But the Lord checked his tears of ecstasy, because these tears of ecstasy were disturbing his darshan of the Lord. So it was more important for him to see the Lord than to have these tears flowing down. And then they went in between the bhoga. The only time the darshan was interrupted was when the servants of Lord Jagannath would bring bhoga offering. As I mentioned last time, Jagannath eats a lot. So every now and then bhoga is offered, and then the darshan is closed. So that was the only time interval when the devotees could not take darshan. Otherwise, their eyes were fixed on the beautiful form of the Lord. And at that time, when there was no darshan, Mahaprabhu performed kirtan with his devotees. Darshana anande prabhu sava parash pasarila bhaktagana madhyana korite prabhuralena gela. Darshana anande, in the happiness of seeing the darshan of the Lord, Prabhu sava pasarila. Pasarila means forgot. So the Lord forgot how the time was passing. He was standing in front of the Lord taking darshan. Finally, when it became known His associates, they pulled him away because now it was time for taking prasadam. So they gradually, gently took him away. Come, my Lord, please come. It is time for us to eat now. प्रातः काले रथ यात्रा हबे क जानिया सेवक लगाय भोग द्विगुण कोरिया. Pratah Kale, the next day, early morning, what would there be? Rath Yatra hobe ka janiya. Knowing that there would be the Rath Yatra ceremony the next day in the morning, Sevaka, all the servants of Lord Jagannath, Lagaya Bhoga, they started placing the Bhog in front of the deities. Dviguna Kuriya, double the quantity. As it is, Jagannath eats a lot. And now they started placing double the quantity of bhoga because next day was going to be the celebrated Rath Yatra festival. Gundicha Marjana Leela Sankshepe Kohila Jaha Dekhi Shuni Papira Krishna Bhakti Hoila. So thus Kaviraj Goswami says, I have described the pastime of the Gundicha cleaning and also the pastime of Lord Mahaprabhu having darshan of the deity of Lord Jagannath at the time of the Netrotsava. And by doing this, by even hearing this description, Papira Krishna Bhakti Hoila, even sinful people can develop love for Krishna by hearing of such descriptions. That is why it is so important for us to gather in the association of devotees on a regular basis and hear descriptions like this. So then our heart gets cleansed and we develop love for Lord Krishna. Shri Netrotsava ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Rath Yatra Mahotsava ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Any time for questions?
Yeah. Briefly, just a few questions if there are.
Very happy. Any questions?
Questions should be connected to the topic and they should be to the point. Okay? That is the etiquette of asking questions. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
When to get the Samudhanta, the eagerness to have darshan of the deity, my presumption is that one should be at least to some level at the stage of asakti. But for most of us, when we still at the stage of ananta, you mentioned the training that is required to see that, to appreciate the form of the deity of Lord. Can you elaborate what is the training that can be done?
What is the?
Training.
Greed. Training.
That is required for us to come out of that.
Well, the training is exactly what Srila Prabhupada has prescribed for all of us. Chanting Hare Krishna mantra, japa, doing kirtan, hearing and reciting Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, taking darshan of the deities, rendering a variety of devotional services that he has described in his teachings. So nothing new is required to be done. We just follow the process that has been taught to us by Srila Prabhupada in his books, and that is sufficient, and his lectures also. Okay? If we do that sincerely, regularly, then automatically these things will come. Okay, somebody raised a hand here. Okay, yeah.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, thank you, Maharaj. Very nicely. अपने पीपी के साथ जो रेसिंग प्रोफेसर चैतन्य महाप्रभु का है very nicely you explained. So this my question is like how can we develop our attraction towards our pity? Like sometimes like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu भगवान को जब सामने देखते हैं तो उनकी आंखों में आंसू बह कर तो फीलिंग हमारे मन में तो बड़ी एटलीस्ट एक तरफ आ जाए कि कैसे हम इसको डेवलप कर सकें क्या मेरा मन में एक डिजायर है कि अगर आपका यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ प्रोफेशनल शेयर कर Right. Thank you.
No, that is not the kind of question that has to be asked. We are all in the beginning stages. So all we try to do is to come before the Lord as often as we can and just render service to Him by gazing at Him with devotion, reciting prayers and songs and the holy name. And we serve in so many different ways so that our love for the Lord will gradually develop. We just keep doing that. It will all happen in due course, not to worry. We needn't get into what are the experiences and tears. If tears don't come, no problem. It's not that just for this, because we've heard it, somehow we should try to get some tears to come. Not like that. The tears should come spontaneously if at all, and if they come, they don't come, it's okay. We are doing our devotional service. At the right time, it will all happen. And it should, even if it happens, it should never be done for the sake of demonstration or exhibition. Yes? Srila Prabhupada said, such tears wash away the Vedic conclusions. So that is a sahajiya process, a sentimental approach. So genuine devotion will arise in the heart, and then all these symptoms will be automatically manifesting in that devotee's personality. Okay? Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, you explained in class regarding how we can transfer our greed towards Krishna. So my question is how we can transfer our lust and anger towards Krishna.
Get angry at those who are obstructing Krishna consciousness. Transfer your anger towards those things. And sometimes when you don't find those things, don't transfer your anger to your family members or to the devotees. Then Prabhupada said, think of Lord Narasimha's anger and your anger will fly away, far away. So all of these things can be dovetailed in Krishna's service. The more you engage your energies and consciousness in Krishna's service, automatically all these changes will happen. Yes, the mic here.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the wonderful like it is. Like you talked about this familiarity with content. And as we say, the association of devotees, we take the devotees for granted. We take the valuable gift that Lord has given us in terms of the scriptures, so we make everything for granted. So how do we ensure that we value the sincerity? We be grateful to whatever we receive.
By reminding ourselves of it and by reminding each other of this on a regular basis. Things tend to go to the back of our mind. So when we speak about it, discuss it, then it comes back from the back of the mind to the front of the mind. Then we become aware and conscious of it. Okay? All right. So thank you all very much. One more question? No. Okay. Fine. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.